And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, if you've seen my review of Warhammer Diskwars, you know that I really enjoy the game, so I want to see more of it. And here we have Hammer and Hold expansion, also known as the Good Guys, or the Dwarves, because this is really featuring the Dwarves, but adds to the Good Guys. Let's take a look at the stuff that comes inside this expansion. The main army that comes in this set is the Dwarves, and they start out here with a flame cannon, which only has a medium range, but can do a ton of damage and move too. And then you have the runic cannon, which can shoot all over the place. But what's really cool is there's this little master engineer character who can take an activation token off of a war machine that's close to him within short range. So basically, he lets you fire these war machines twice each round, which is really cool. Another cool, unusual thing that the Dwarves have is this ancestor statue, which basically lets you empower 2 discs within medium range. Can't move, can't defend itself, but at the same time, you put this on the board. Basically, you can put it out on the board ahead of time and place it out there, and you run all your Dwarves up around it. You can empower the whole lot of them. The Dwarves also, of course, with their machinery, they have the gyrocopter, which is a flying mobile unit. Then they have some basic units here, some Thunderers, range guys, some Warriors, some Hammers. Now you'll notice these Hammers have Guard. Guard is a really cool new thing in this game. It's basically the opposite of Impact. When someone hits you, you do damage to them. So this guy, when they get hit, they do 1 damage to anyone who hits them. These guys are mobile and they can empower discs. The Dwarves are all about empowering the other units. And then this guy here can reinforce overlapping terrain. You have your 3 leaders. Here, this guy, this stalwart guy who does 3 damage each disc, engage with him. So you come and land on him. He's not very good at defense with a 3, but he can go land on somebody or maybe somehow get an activation token taken off of him or just basically be involved in a battle, and he's going to nail you to the wall. And then Helga, who each disc gets within short range of her, each dwarf disc within short range of her, gets Swift, which allows him to attack first. Dwarves aren't known for being swift, but that's still pretty cool. And then we have Thorgrim Grudgebearer. This guy here lives up to his name. He's very angry about, I guess, dead dwarves, because each dead dwarf in your casualty pile is going to he gets impact 1 for each one. So the more of your guys who are dead, the better he is. Really enjoy this guy. You have some reinforcements for previous armies. So for the Empire, they get warrior priests who don't really feel like a priest, since basically they're impact 2, and when they're empowered, they're resistant to damage, but they don't heal people. And then you have the halberders, which are some swift attack guys. The high elves get another mobile missile unit, kind of weak, but this is a very cheap unit. It's 5, which is pretty easy to stick in armies. And then, of course, to make up for that, an expensive unit, the Silverhelms, a very powerful, swift cavalry, which means they can hit first in battle, and they do impact of 3. And then there are some new factions here. First, we have the Dryads, or the Wood Elves, the Wood Elves, and they're led here. Basically, she can unflip all your forest allies. These guys will empower if they overlap rough terrain. So if they're around rough terrain, they get better. And then these guys here, the War Dancers, they're swift, and when they're not in battle, this disc gains 2 and 2, which is pretty interesting. Then we have these guys. I'm not sure these guys should be included in the good set. I'm not sure what the Lizardmen are, but it's fun to have the Lizardmen with us. This guy does D6 -1 to a target disc within short range. Not a very powerful range, it's very short, but since this guy can move 4, he can get around there, the Salamander. The other unit with the Lizardmen are the Skink Skirmishers, mobile missiles, and they can do poison. This introduces poison tokens, and when someone takes poison in this game, when you remove damage tokens, you have to remove the poison tokens instead. And if you take a wound, you remove both damage and poison tokens from it. So to explain that better, what that means is when you remove damage, like you get healed, maybe you heal 3 damage. Instead, you only heal 1 poison counter. So poison, it takes a lot longer to heal. Then we have the leader of the Lizardmen here, a relentless guy, and if he's engaged with a hero, he's swift. So he's a hero hunter, a hero killer. And then also we see another piece of terrain, a mine of course for the dwarves, and then more cards including a new scenario, a lot of stuff for the dwarves, but stuff for the other factions including this. Like I really like the leaping strike for the Lizardmen. When you use this one, all your discs activated have impact 1. Really cool, and I can't wait to use a full Lizardman army. So some more cards included in this game, and also lots of tokens, including the poison tokens I've shown you, and other tokens that have to do with the different cards. Do you like dwarves? That means that dwarves is not the only thing about this set that people are going to want, but it's the main thing. And if you like an army that has big cannons, and I mean they have the statue, which is a very unique thing that I like to see more things like that for the dwarves. Just have this stuff out there that's kind of like machinery. They got the glider and the big giant guns, but I think the dwarves feel like a very unique faction. And of course, there's a lot of people who like them anyway. The other smaller factions that are included in are fine. I mean, I love to see an expansion of them. The Lizardmen and the Wood Elves. Just the idea of the Wood Elves using the terrain to help them. And the Lizardmen have always been my favorite army in all of Warhammer, even though I haven't played it, but I've always looked at all the different things. I just like the idea of dinosaurs and lizards fighting. But they're cool. There's just not a lot of them, but you can add them as an extra regiment if you want to. And hopefully in the future they'll have a whole box of just Lizardmen or a whole box of just the Wood Elves. I would assume that's what's going to happen as time goes by. But still, getting extra units for your other armies, it gives you more variety when you're building the High Elves or the Empire armies. So there's a lot of discs in the box, around 50 or so in there. And if you like the good guys, then this is an expansion for you. A lot of content and more army building options.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!
There.